Top of the top, y'all, it's your boy Show coming to y'all today to bring yet another deal breakdown where I'm just simply gonna go through the details of a transaction of a wholesale deal that my company just closed on recently. All right, so soak up the game. Hopefully y'all can learn something from this, take something from it, little bits and pieces, because every transaction is different. That's why I want to bring you guys these deal breakdowns so you can see the different intricate parts and how to work around those. And so I want to be as detailed as possible. So let's get it started. The deal I'm going to talk about today was a single family home out in Watauga, Texas. This is out close to North Richland Hills, close to the Fort Worth area, if you guys aren't familiar with that. All right. So the marketing strategy we used for this deal was cold calling. All right. Simply picking up the phone and calling the lead. So we got the lead's information from a probate list. We were dialing on a probate list. If you don't know what probate is, probate means a homeowner has passed away and someone else is inheriting the property. So it's going through the court system to determine exactly who that heir is or who the person or persons are who will be inheriting that property. All right. So we were calling on a probate list. We reached the seller on initial contact. He told us he wasn't interested at the time, but to give him a follow-up call in a month or so. So we followed up with him. On that second follow-up, he did let us know that he was not interested in selling the property we were calling about. That was his parents' property. They had deceased and he was going through probate so he could inherit the property. But when that was done, he and his wife would be moving into his parents' property because that property was larger in a better established neighborhood. And I believe it was paid off as well. So they had no mortgage. So since he and his wife were going to be moving into that property, they were interested in selling their personal property, all right? The property that they were living in at the time. They were doing some renovations. He had also just refinanced the property. So he took money out. So there was a new mortgage in place. Probably wasn't even a month or 2 months old when we started this conversation with him. So there was really no negotiation. He let us know that he had a mortgage and that he needed at least $155,000 in order to accept our offer. We initially came in, I believe, at $130,000. He told us, nope, cannot accept that. So we went back to the drawing boards, and then following some more follow-ups and more conversation, we figured out he had a mortgage in place and got him to kind of talk about that and why he needed the price he was asking. So once we figured out he had a $154,000 mortgage, it only made sense for us to offer $155,000. The extra $1,000 was just in case anything popped up on title, that might take away from that price. We wanted to make sure he got exactly what he needed to satisfy his mortgage loan. All right. So after we finally negotiated that, we went and walked the property, did a walkthrough. He showed us where he was already doing some small renovations. We did let him know, hey, that's not necessary for you to complete. We are coming in as investors on an as-is purchase, so you don't need to do any more renovations to the property. We're going to pick it up exactly how it is at the price that we're agreeing on. He signed the agreement on spot during that walkthrough, same day. That's how we like to get them signed. Don't always happen that way, but we shoot for it every time. So we signed the agreement that day. We went off to market it. At first, we were going to work with some guys, JV with some guys, do a joint venture with some other people who said they had buyers. Those guys were not open and honest, and they didn't have good communication. They almost killed that deal for us by bringing multiple buyers. They weren't even a buyer. They were representing other buyers and brought multiple buyers to the showing, which we did not communicate with our seller because we were unaware ourselves. Luckily, we were able to overcome that obstacle by being transparent and upfront and having good communication with our sellers. So we were able to kind of talk them down, and keep everything steady. We did away with those guys who we were going to JV with. We did not end up working with them. We ended up finding a buyer of our own. So since the 155 purchase price was really high for a fix and flipper to come in and make some money. However, we were able to find someone who was looking to build his rental portfolio, and the numbers did work perfectly for him. Now, it was still a very thin spread. We assigned this deal for $158,000, meaning we only made $3,000 on assignment, but we were able to still get this done for our sellers. We like to solve problems. We like to look at ourselves as problem solvers, not just cash buyers. So if you can come in and solve a problem for a seller, you can generally make money from that, all right? So that's how we look at it. It was only, like I said, only $3,000 on the spread, but we were able to help these sellers transition, and that's the biggest part of what matters for us. And so, yeah, we got the deal assigned to the cash buyer who was looking to build this portfolio and just keep this property as a rental. It needed light repairs, and so he could come in, put a couple thousand down, rent it out, fairly easily, fairly soon. I believe that is what he did. But even with that buyer, when we took him through to walk the property, he was coming off as if we weren't even there, as if, this is my property now, I'm buying this is what I'm gonna do, and just kind of boasting that in front of the sellers, which then made another uncomfortable situation, because it's like, hey, we're here, okay? This is our deal. You're supposed to be partnering with us. That's what we tell to our sellers. We say, hey, we have funding partners, or we have people we're going to partner with on this deal to get it done. Since we do such a heavy volume of deals each month, we use other people and other people's money to get a lot of deals across the finish line, all right? So we like to tell our buyers, hey, if you walk the property and the seller is there, just come off as we're funding partners working together, that way we can keep everything copacetic, all right? So you want to make sure that you have that communication with all of your buyers, especially if they're doing walkthroughs of properties that are not vacant and the sellers are actually going to be present. You want to have an understanding with your buyer that, they don't talk to the seller about pricing, about the property condition. Your buyer should direct those questions strictly to you, all right? They should not be communicating with the sellers, because you don't want people to get antsy, to get janky and steal your deal. You don't want your seller to be looking at you like, hey, what's really going on here? Who are you? What are you doing? You want to keep everything as smooth as possible for every transaction, guys. So have a clear communication with your buyers. Let them know how they need to go in and approach the situations, and communicate with you only and not your sellers, all right? So, but we ended up getting the deal done. We closed on that deal, $3,000 on the assignment fee. And, that's kind of how it went. We really didn't have any problems with title. It was a clear title. We didn't have any problems with the seller. He was eager to go ahead and sell. He was already transitioning to a new home. And so, there it is, guys. That's another deal breakdown for you guys, how we made $3K on assignment. But always keep in mind, one, you want a cold call. That's a good form of marketing. A lot of people hate it, makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but we do most of our deals that way. Two, probate lists are a good list to call. Some people don't like it because essentially you're calling people to try to buy a house from someone who passed away that they loved. So it can be an emotional situation, which makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But as you see, deals can come from it, guys. And then another thing I dropped on you guys during this video is make sure you have good communication with your buyer, and you have an understanding with your buyer on how you guys' partnership works, all right? And the communication that should and or should not be had between your buyer and your seller, all right? That's important, guys. So there you go. Hope you took something away from that. Until the next deal breakdown, it's your boy Show. Tap in.